Hey everybody, this is Some Things Fishy. We're back to show you another cool video about clownfish. We just got this new anemone here. It came off of my dad's really large anemone. It split the other day, so we plucked this one out and put it in this tank. The goal here today is we really want to get these clownfish to host this anemone. This clownfish right here, he's about 4 years old, the orange one. He's 4 years old. He was in a tank, and then people were taking care of it, and then they ended up selling the tank and the fish to a fish store, and that's where we bought him. This black one, though, he's only a few months old. We got him when he was literally probably, I don't know if you can see my fingers here, like seriously this big. He was tiny fish, so he's grown quite a bit. And yeah, so I'm not really sure about the history of this orange one that's about 4 years old. Maybe he had an anemone before. Maybe he was in a tank that actually never had an anemone. So maybe he's 4 years old and has never actually been in one before or never hosted one. So I'm not really sure what his history is. This black one, though, he definitely has never had an anemone. So he probably doesn't even know what the heck is going on with this new thing. When helping your clownfish host an anemone, it can take a little bit of time, and that's probably the biggest recommendation that we have for you guys today, is that it's going to take some time. It's not going to be likely. It's likely not going to be something that happens right when you put the anemone in. They have to get used to it, so it's going to take a few days. So I'm not expecting them to just hop right in after I do some of these tricks to get them to host it. I'm not expecting them to just host it in 5 minutes or anything like that. They have to get used to it. They have to get a feel for it, especially for, fish that have probably never hosted an anemone before. It might take a little bit of time. So our first tip for today is we're gonna take some food and we're gonna put it in this turkey baster, and we're gonna slowly let it out in the anemone so that the fish can get used to it, get close to it, and can start to get a feel for it. Once they can get that feel for the anemone, then they'll be like, oh wait, this is instinct. This is something that I need in my life. I don't really know what it feels like to them, but let's go ahead and give it a shot. So if we take our food, the issue here is gonna be the shrimp. I'm gonna give a little bit to the shrimp right away, keep him busy, then put some down in here. And then we just slowly, come here guys, slowly let it out over the anemone. See, the shrimp's gonna be super annoying. You think that anemones just shock you and nothing else wants to touch them besides clownfish. Not really true. The shrimp's just gonna be annoying the whole time. Okay, let's try it again. Let's get him away. Okay, let me get him right in here. There we go, he's getting nice and close. They're still not really used to the turkey baster, so this could take, this could take a couple weeks of them getting used to the turkey baster to get close to it, and then to get close to the anemone because of that. So I'm not expecting this to be a 1 day or a 2 day thing. We're just gonna keep doing this. We're gonna change their feeding schedule so they get used to feeding out of this turkey baster, and they'll be getting closer and closer each time to that anemone, getting more and more comfortable with it. And then pretty soon they're gonna be diving in that thing. They're gonna be loving it. It's gonna be their new little home. All right, here's another tip that we're gonna talk about that can help your clownfish start hosting your anemone. This may seem a little weird and even a little bit cheesy, but my dad literally did this with his tank and his clownfish that he had a while back, and it actually worked and helped them start hosting the anemone. We printed out a picture of a clownfish hosting an anemone. It probably has nothing to do with the clownfish hosting it, but they probably just see the clownfish, and what happens is they'll get close to it. We're gonna just tape it right here on the side, and they're gonna see that clownfish sitting right there, and they're gonna be attracted to it. I don't know why, and it'll get them nice little proximity to start getting closer and closer to that anemone, getting more comfortable with it, and then before long, maybe a couple days, maybe a couple weeks, they should be good to go. Okay, so let's just point this out just so you guys can see. So they're just chilling over here, not paying attention to the anemone at all. And then let's put this paper right here. You see how they're already starting to head over that direction? They're totally looking at it. So that's what we're gonna do. Yeah, they're still looking at it. We're just gonna leave this here for a couple days. Here's another cool tip that you can do to help your clownfish start hosting an anemone. One thing you can do, because the big issue is that they need like a certain amount of proximity to get used to that anemone. Once they start getting in it, like honestly, it only takes a couple times for them to actually be in it and touch it for that instinct to kick in, and then they just go crazy and love it and they start hosting it. So one thing you can do is you can get like a little bucket like this, or I've seen people use like a strainer so that they can just leave it in the tank as well. And I probably actually prefer the strainer over just a bucket like this. That way you can just leave them in the water. You don't have to take water out or anything. But imagine that this had a bunch of holes and it was a strainer. You could just put your fish in here and then just put it in the tank, just rest it inside and pluck that anemone out and put it in there and leave them in there for like an hour or so. Even give them some food in there, put it in the anemone. That's a really cool way that you can get your clowns to start hosting that anemone. I've seen that work with some other people online. One other thing that I've seen people do online, I don't know if it's necessarily as effective as the other things that we've talked about today, is you can actually just take your clownfish out, kind of put them in your hand, and almost like force them to go in the anemone. You kind of just put, get them with a net, put them in your hand, and release them slowly into the anemone. That doesn't seem like the best approach, but I do think that that might work in some circumstances. Another tip that we have for you that you can use to start getting those clowns to host that anemone is you can get something like this, like a long item, maybe use a scraper, a net, something of that sort, and you kind of just zone your clownfish over to that anemone. You just get them closer to it, get them really close, and zone them close to that anemone like that, and then you just do this for as long as you can. Do it for 15 minutes straight, maybe a couple times a day. Get them close to it. They just need to make some good contact with that anemone. And the more that they do so, the closer they get to it, the more comfortable they're going to feel around it. So this is something that you can use. This is probably one of the more effective tips. I've seen some people online do this and it worked really well. But I think the most effective tip that will probably give you the most success with this is to use that turkey baster and to keep putting food in the anemone, keep attracting your clownfish to it that way. I think that's going to be one of the most effective tips.